is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you guys are new to 10th edition, they released a whole bunch of leaks. This guy posted, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but he posted a ton of stratagems, rules, all that stuff before they even come out. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the stuff that was leaked. If you guys are like me, I kind of wait till the very end to kind of wait to see if it comes out. Just like Arcs of Omen. I didn't look at anything new in Arcs of Omen before it actually came out. So with this, I'm kind of more intrigued because you get to plan and kind of figure out what kind of your lists are going to be like before it even comes out. So if you guys are new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe and notification bell so these videos actually pop up for you guys. Go ahead, head over and watch some more of my content to see if you like this type of content, because we have a shit ton of it. There's going to be even more coming up in 10th edition. We have about 2 or 3 more 9th edition battle reports. We have ACO, Atlantic City Open, coming up. So if you guys are going to that, definitely come up and say hi. I have limited edition dirtbag dice that I'm able to give to people in person, or if you play me in a game, give those to you. And if you guys are Patreons, you guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for joining the Dirtbag Nation. If you guys are interested, again, in joining the Dirtbag Nation, you get to watch my videos up front ahead of time on Patreon, as well as there's a competitive Dirtbag Patreon, where if you guys are interested in getting the competitive scene, whether it be Grey Knights, Sisters, Death Guard, Custodes, or even Chaos Space Marines, we are ranked #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world right now. We were Grey Knights #1 last year, so you are talking to somebody who is in the scene very much so, as well as you get dibs on messaging me privately on Discord to go over lists, ideas, tactics, all that stuff. That's on the Patreon page. Grandmasters, you guys are just amazing. You guys get dibs on me playing your list that you want to see live in a battle report. So if you guys are Grandmasters, make sure you're messaging me at least once a month so we can set up that game or play TTS tactics and strategies on TTS live. So you actually get to see that play with me on TTS, so that way we can get some games going. So that's the Patreon page. So let's get into the video. We have 2 pages of stratagems that are core stratagems that you guys can actually use in every single army. So there's going to be some tactics that you guys get to see that's going to best fit your army. I'm going to kind of go based off the armies that I'm playing, and you're going to be like, oh shit, that makes sense for this part of my army. But obviously the command reroll stayed the same, except the desperate escape test, hazardous test, and everything else basically stayed the same. So you can now reroll those tests, the desperate escape test and the hazardous test, instead of like just the hit, roll, wound, saving throw, all that stuff. So they're adding a little bit more to the game. We never had these tests before, so they're new tests that they're adding to the game that we actually get to reroll for 1 CP. Counter offense, this is basically just interrupt. This is what I didn't understand. So did they get rid of like the fight first, fight last, all that crazy shit in the last edition? Because the Custodes, Trajan, it just says fights first. So does that mean when you charge him, you don't automatically fight first? He can then fight before you because of the fight first ability. And this says in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has fought. So this one's interrupting. The other one just says you fight first. So this one is you get to interrupt after one unit has charged. You then get to interrupt and fight again. So this is kind of the same as it is now. One unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy models that has already not been selected to fight, your unit then fights next. So a little bit wording different between Trajan and this one. Trajan just says fight first. So that's probably why everybody's freaking out over Trajan. Epic challenge. This is new. This is kind of crazy. If you have like an Abaddon, right, going into a unit and you really want to kill their librarian or their buffing unit or their chaplain or whatever it may be, you're just going to spend 1 CP. And in the fight phase, when a character unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more attached units is selected to fight, one character model in your unit, until the end of the phase, all melee attacks made by that model have precision ability. So that means any attack that goes into that unit all goes into the character. I don't know if it ever spills over. Somebody let me know if it does. But I think all the attacks are going into that one character in that unit specifically. So if you really want to target that character, now you can't target that character unless you have precision or it's the last model in that unit. So if you're charging in and there's 10 Terminators, but you have one character that, like an Abaddon, you can then put all the attacks on Abaddon with your character. Unless your whole unit has precision, which I don't think it does. That's going to be a cool stratagem to use to try and snipe out that one character that's super annoying on the enemy team. So I'm thinking I'm using this for Abaddon. When my Terminators get into combat, I'm just going to spend 1 CP. Abaddon nukes the character, and then everything else goes into the rest of the unit. So that's going to be pretty cool. So that's a new core stratagem that everybody gets to do. So be careful when you're getting charged, because your opponent's going to have the same stratagems as you do. So memorizing these now is going to be clutch coming into 10th edition. This is the big page though. This is where you're going to have to actually think, what the hell am I going to be doing with all this? Let me make myself smaller. Okay. So Insane Bravery is now only 1 CP. This used to be 2 CP, which I like that they reduced it because Night Lords isn't around anymore. So you can't just play a whole list with Night Lords trying to make people run. Battle Shock step in your command phase just after you've failed a Battle Shock. So this is after you fail it. Which is great, because you roll, see if you fail it. If you don't fail it, you're good. If you fail it, then just spend 1 CP and it automatically passes. And anytime you have a Battle Shock test, that unit cannot use any stratagems. But this says you can still use a stratagem even if you fail, because now it's like as if you have not failed. So even though your Battle Shock units cannot normally be affected by your stratagems, your unit is treated as having passed that test instead and not battle shocked as a result. So this is a good thing. You can only use it once, but or per turn, but it's good to like, oh fuck, I failed, I really knew this unit to do something, and then boom, there you go. So it's not like you just shit, now my 400 point unit can't really do anything. You're automatically passing it. So it kind of makes it more fair that you're not just going after their huge fucking brick of Terminators with Abaddon that just automatically fails somehow, and then you just spend 1 CP. So always having 1 CP, just like you wanted 1 CP to charge, now you really want 1 CP to have Insane Bravery on your side in case you fail. We could always fail, if you roll 2 1s, 1 and 2, you're gonna fail, so you kind of save that 1 CP. Grenade seems pretty cool. This is in your shooting phase. Somebody explained to me in the comments below how this specifically works, but 1 grenade unit, so if you have a unit, like a model that has grenades, frag, crack, whatever it may be, is not in engagement range, basically you're just chucking a grenade out, and has not been selected to shoot this phase, select 1 enemy unit that is not within engagement range of any units from your army, and is within 8 inches, so you have an 8-inch grenade for 1 CP, invisible to the grenade unit. Roll 6d6. On a 4+, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's a good way to finish off a unit, finish off a character, finish off a tank, just for the mortal wounds. But is this one guy, I guess you can spend, all right, my character has like a shitty pistol. He's going to spend 1 CP and launch his grenades. He rolls fucking 6 dice 8 inches away, and then hopefully does, 3 to 6 fucking mortal wounds on a 4+. There's no cap, so basically you could do 6 potential mortal wounds if you roll 4+, but that's just an easy way to get additional mortal wounds out of a unit with your one character that doesn't really have a huge melee or shooting output. So that's a cool little extra thing, is you can have 1 character. I think it's 1 guy, right? If you have like 1 leader in your army that has a Stormbolter, right? The other guys have Purgation Squad, for example. The other guys have Flamers, and you have 1 guy with a Stormbolter. You're going to spend 1 CP to do some extra mortal wounds, and all your Flamers are going to shoot as well. So I think that's how it is. It doesn't say it has to be the whole unit. It's basically just 1 guy that hasn't shot. That's pretty cool. So that's an additional stratagem that all of us are going to be able to have, as long as you have grenades, the keyword. Tank Shock. This is going to be insane for Knights. So your charge phase, this is going to be good for Dread Knights as well. But your charge phase, 1 vehicle unit from your army. Until the end of that phase, after your unit has ended their charge move, select 1 enemy unit with an engagement range of it. So if you combi charge or charge 3 different units if you're a knight, roll a number of d6 equal to the weapon's strength. There's some strength on the knights that are like 23. So that means you're rolling 23 dice, And if it's double the toughness of the unit that you're charging, you roll 2 additional dice. So let's say 25 dice you're rolling. Rolling 25 dice, anything on a 5+ are taking mortal wounds to a max of 6. This is such an additional... It used to be amazing for when you're charging like Abaddon for the wound cap or whatever, but now it's like an additional 6 mortal wounds on top of you getting your charge off. So with Dread Knights, our hammer is strength 14. So if you're going into a unit that's strength 7 or below, or toughness 7 or below, you're able to roll 14, 15, 16 dice, and on a 5+ they take mortal wounds. So that's going to be pretty cool and something to look out for when you're facing any type of knight. It has to use that specific weapon's strength. So some strength isn't as high, like the autocannon dreads, they're not going to have super high strength, but the big fucking knights coming in is going to be, strength 12, strength 14, strength 20. So that's going to be a shit ton of dice coming into. So just expect you're probably going to get 6 mortal wounds coming into you before they even get their charge off. So hopefully you have a mortal wound save. I don't know if Grey Knights are going to have a mortal wound save. They didn't show that. Custodes do, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so Tank Shock is going to be a really cool strat to do. Rapid Ingress, and everybody's going to be using this. Like this is probably going to be the best one that they released in 10th edition. So 1 CP at the end of your opponent's movement phase. So let's say they have turn 1, they move, they put all their guys everywhere. You spend 1 CP. 1 unit from your army that is in reserves, deep strike, reserves, whatever it may be. Your unit arrives on the battlefield as if it was the reinforcement step of your movement phase. So you cannot use a stratagem to enable a unit to arrive on the battlefield during battle round if it would not normally be able to do so on. So does that mean that you can't come in turn 1? So this just might be the one mission that we had in 9th edition where you can't come in turn into like no man's land round 1, or no, you just can't come in round 1 in general. So that's probably gonna be the only restriction, is if it has something like that keyword. But it doesn't say in the reserves, I think in the core rules for 10th edition, that you can't come in turn 1. It does in the competitive player pack. So in the like Arcs of Omen, it says it specifically, but the core rules, it doesn't say that specifically. So far you can come in turn 1 in this, but you're going to be able to set your units up, like the one that you really want to kind of get in the opponent's face. You can put them behind a wall outside of 9 inches of the opponent, so that way during your turn you're able to move them up and kind of charge. So think about how many units you have in the game that can deep strike and they're super melee, like Blood Angels. Like they have a 10-man fucking sanguinary unit come in turn 1 and sit behind a wall, and then you're just going, well, I guess I'm dead now, and then they hop out and just nuke your entire army. So this is going to be kind of insane to play against as well play with. So most of the top competitive people are already thinking about abusing this. So think about how many max you can put into a deep strike unit and put an insane character in that deep strike unit and just deep strike them, especially for Tau, Guard, all these like shooting armies. They don't want to get into combat, but if I have them all kind of deep strike in this building that you can't see them with, but they move 12 inches next turn, they're going to come down, move 12 inches, shoot some hand meltas into something, and then charge something else and just nuke everything. So this is going to be kind of insane to play against and with. So get used to this. This is going to be insane. Terminators coming down turn 1, potentially turn 2, in your face to just nuke you. So yay. So that's that. Fire Overwatch is a little bit different now. So firing Overwatch, you have to, or you can shoot something within 24 inches, which is really different. But you still hit on 6s, so if there's any way to boost it, we don't know if you get set to defend in Ruins like it was in 9th edition, or if you get full rerolls from units or stuff like that. So your opponent's movement phase or charge phase, so movement or charge, just after an enemy unit is set up, or when an enemy unit starts or ends their normal move, advance move, fallback move, or charge move. 1 unit from your army that's within 24 inches of that enemy unit that would be eligible to shoot if it were the shooting phase. So basically, you can shoot if they just move within 24 inches of you, which is weird. Your unit can shoot the enemy as if it was a shooting phase until the end of the phase. Each time the model that unit makes a range attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 is required to score a hit, unrespective to the attacking weapon's ballistic skill or any modifier. So I think it's only 6s to hit. You can use a stratagem once per turn. So this is going to be great for flamers. So let's say they're moving up, within 12 inches of you, and you can shoot them, or at the end of the charge move. So in the charge move, they move into melee range, and then you can put all the flamers into the unit that charged you. So not having line of sight is going to be kind of, you used to be able to charge them from behind a wall so that way they can't overwatch you. Now it's at the end of the charge move. So basically if they end their charge move in melee with you and you're shooting your flamers, you can then still do flamer hits. So I think purgation squads, T-Suns, flamers, all that stuff is still going to be really good with firing Overwatch in this edition. So that's a big change. If you have a huge unit that, it hits on 6s, so you don't really want to spend the CP if you're like, all right, I've 30 shots, hit on 6s, I'll probably hit 5 times. Not really going to be worth it. So unless you get full rerolls or auto wounding or devastating wounds or anything like that, that's when it's going to be worth it. Tal's going to fucking love this, because you kind of used to be able to get out of Tal's threat range and kind of charge. Also, you used to be able to stop it where you could charge one unit in, have them take the Overwatch, and then another unit can come in and not get Overwatched. So this is going to be huge for Tal and Guard and all that stuff, because you can charge both units in, and then they get to choose who they're going to be able to Overwatch with. So a little bit different, better for shooting armies. So go to ground is new. This used to be, I think, 6th edition. They brought this back. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit selected as a target. One infantry unit from your army that is selected as a target and attacking units. Until the end of the phase, all models in the unit have a 6-up invuln save and have benefits of cover. That's actually huge for cultists, shit like that. So if you really want a unit to live on an objective, you just spend 1 CP. They go to ground. It doesn't have any negatives to it. It just says hey, they get a 6-up invuln save and they get cover. So if the opponent ignores cover, not really worth doing it. But let's say the zombies, right? They have a 6-up invuln save now and a 6-up Field of Pain. So basically 2 chances to have your zombies live on an objective for Death Guard. So that's going to be cool for chaff units. So yeah, that's going to be a new strat to really memorize and get good with. Smokescreen kind of stays the same, except vehicles now can have cover saves and stealth abilities. So stealth is basically just -1 to hit. So in your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit is selected as a target, 1 smoke unit, so mostly tanks, from your army is selected as a target of 1 or more attacking units. Until the end of that phase, all models in your unit have the benefit of cover and the stealth ability. So basically, if they're outside, I think, of 12, or they just get stealth in general, they get -1 to hit. So that tank is now -1 to hit, and they get the benefit of cover. So they're ignoring, AP1 if they're in cover. Obviously, if they ignore cover, you don't get this. But this is a cool way. Again, tanks are going to be 10th edition. So most of the tanks are going to have smokescreen. So this is going to be good for tank players. -1 hit is really good. And the cover now is even better. So if you have a tank that has a 2-up save, you basically ignore anything AP2 or higher, because you can't get better than a 3-up cover save. But if you go to AP1 goes to 3-up save, AP2 goes back to a 3-up save, because you're getting covered now. So that's a good little strategy. Heroic Intervention. Anybody can Heroic Intervention now. This is huge. Your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit ends a charge move. So your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit ends its charge move. So this is just after they charge. So you basically get to Heroic Intervention in between other charges, which is weird, because then they can then charge that unit that Heroic Interventioned. 1 unit from your army that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit and would be eligible to declare a charge. Oh, okay, so you're charging now. That's the difference. Against an enemy that was in the charge phase. So you can actually get, I think, more distance and wrap a unit or stop them from getting on the objective. So that actually is really cool. The unit now declares a charge, so you have a chance to fail. So think about that. Let's say you have a 6-inch charge, you roll a 5, because I think you have to end within ½ inch. I don't know if it's still 1 inch or ½ inch. Somebody let me know if the melee range has changed. But you still have to get that dice roll to get into combat with them. So let's say they charge in, now they're 3 inches away. You can then spend 2 CP in Heroic Intervention as a charge, but it doesn't count as being a charge. So charge as if it was charge phase. 1, you can only select a vehicle unit if it has the Walker keyword. So a Dread Knight has the Walker keyword, so he's able to kind of do that. Note that even if this charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonus this turn. So basically you don't get to fight first, you're still fighting as normal. And if you have any charge bonuses, like, you know, getting to do mortal wounds or something on the charge, it doesn't count as that charge bonus this turn. Not receive any charge bonus this turn. So page 29, that'll show us if it's the charge bonus or if you get any additional shit as counting as charging. Somebody let me know how the fuck that works. But that's really cool. So now you have a 2 CP way to kind of get back or get somebody into combat to protect your objective. So this is going to be all about protecting objectives in 10th edition. So if you're near an objective, you know, 6 inches, if they tag the objective, or at least get on the objective, you can then spend 2 CP, charge them, surround them, and then kill enough so that way you're still holding the objective. So it's a really cool strategy. There's actually a lot of stratagems in here to master and get used to, because it's going to be insane kill as a lot in 10th edition. So I think my favorite one is going to be the Epic Challenge and the Rapid Ingress. So being able to build a list, especially 10 Terminators with Abaddon, build a list around a fucking brick in your opponent's movement phase is just bonkers. So yeah, those are going to be my 2 favorite ones. And I think the Fire Overwatch is obviously going to be the shooting ones. So a lot of armies can benefit from all these. So let me know in the comments which ones you're most excited about. What strategies did I miss or suggestions that we can improve with these stratagems? Go ahead over to Discord and post them in the tactics channels. And again, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe and notification bell so these pop up for you guys. We have about 47% of you guys returning for videos, and there's about 53% of you guys that are new that aren't subscribed. So what the fuck? Hit that subscribe button so these videos pop up for you guys, and you get to see more content coming out in 10th edition. There's always suggestions on the suggestion page in Discord. And if you guys are Patreons, you have first dibs. You have 10% off on all the merch on the Patreons, as well as, again, competitive Patreon. If you guys are really trying to get into 10th edition and be competitive in the competitive scene, definitely head over to that, and I'm able to help you out on Discord 101. If you guys are already competitive dirtbags, you guys are fucking awesome. Make sure to hit me up every single time you have questions, lists, or ideas. And Grandmasters, again, appreciate you guys. If you guys want any battle reports getting ready for 10th edition, make sure you're hitting me up so we can plan for it. And TTS games are going to be huge for 10th edition, so that way we can all teach each other how to play this game better and more competitively. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for clicking on the video, and we'll see you in another video soon.